Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. This is the Artie with Coaching with the Artie. So, hi, friends. It's been a while since I have been on live. And so I am super excited about coming to you live. And I'm going to get right into my content for today. So, I'm doing a video series on my transition journey. And so, for those who don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is DRT, and I am a certified life coach who specializes in helping people to move from where they are today to where they want to be. And so, with that, I offer mastermind classes, I offer coaching, individual coaching, as well as group coaching. And I also, which I'll be kicking off in October as well, is a some free webinars where I tackle different topics for you to know and be engaged in. So today I am going to talk about my transition journey and moving to a new state and yeah, moving to a new state. And the reason why is because I am in the process of moving to a new state. And when I reflected back over my life, I have actually moved many times over my lifetime, but three times from one state in the United States to another state. So I'm in the United States now, and I'm currently in the process of moving from Alabama to Texas. I am less than 3 weeks away from that move. And I thought about, as I have going through these transitions of moving, what have I done to be successful in the move? And so when I think about that, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should share this information with my friends that follow me. So that way it can help you if you're thinking about transition or if you know someone who's transitioning, it will help them as well. And so I'm going to share the steps I took to be successful. And I have several lessons. So I'm going to go live twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can kind of follow me as I go through my transition. But also, what my plan is to do is to give you the lesson in questions. So I have three questions that I'm going to ask myself and I'll give you the answers. And then if you have any questions about transitioning or about anything that I speak about, feel free to put that in the chat and I will answer your questions. So the first lesson for today is pray, then listen. So I am a Christian who believes in God. So for me, praying is the top thing for me to do whenever I am in every day, but whenever I'm even thinking about doing anything, I like to pray about it. And so the first question is, how did I know it was time to transition? So for this particular transition, which is transitioning from moving from Alabama to Texas, I will say that what happened, this usually happens with me with any transition, is that I start to feel a little bit, I don't want to say uneasy, but I started to feel a little sad. And so what would happen with me is that I would go to visit family, friends, go on vacation, or I would even go to another like city outside of where I am now and visit and then be gone all day. And when I would come back, I would just be sad. Like I would just feel like is this it? Is this all I am? Um, this is where it's supposed to be my home. So I would just feel really sad about it. And I really didn't understand what that meant. But I know from previous times when I moved, that was like the beginning signs. It's almost like that feeling of, is this truly my home? Is this where I belong? Yeah, you feel like you don't belong, if that makes sense. So that's how I felt. So I've been in Alabama since 2021. I moved here, for those who know my story, I really moved here because I was in Illinois and I was going through a divorce, and I didn't feel that Illinois was my home anymore. And so I had an opportunity to work remotely, which with that opportunity to work remotely allowed me to kind of pick and choose where I want to move. So when I tell this story, people say, of all the places you chose Alabama, but the reason why I chose Alabama is because I have family here, and because I had one person, an aunt, who pretty much wanted me to come visit and show me a lot of love and support during that time, which I would say was one of the toughest times of my life going through that divorce. But she really was there for me. And that gave me at least one person in Alabama that I knew I could count on. And that was another reason why I went ahead and I moved from Illinois to Alabama, which is things in my car with my dog, everything I needed, and left a whole bunch of things in my storage unit. And so I just knew at that time that in Illinois that I got that feeling. And it's a feeling of I don't belong here. This is not my home. I need to figure out where I belong. And so now with the transition from Alabama to Texas so I've been here 2021. In 2022, I started to have that feeling of, man, I need to figure this out because this is not my home. This is a temporary place, and I need to figure out where my next move is. And so I had that feeling. So my next question is, how does God speak to me? So I know there are some people that God speaks through dreams or through conversations or through a pastor and things like that, or through confirmation through other things. For me, God, once I started to pray about something, no matter what it is, God really speaks to me through vision. So I can be watching TV, I can be doing laundry. He'll just drop like little things in my spirit, and little like photos or little like vision, or like almost like a short movie, if that makes sense. And so that's how he speaks to me, and he speaks to me through confirmation. So with this move, which is really interesting, I'm a member of a church in Dallas. I'm sure some of you could guess what church that is, and I've been an member since 2020. And so I moved to Alabama in 2021, been here. And as I've been here, I just continue to every Sunday, tune in to service as an member, and every single Sunday and on Wednesdays as well. And my thought process, because I moved here during the pandemic, and so things were still restricted. We weren't as restricted, but we were still restricted. So churches were just beginning to little bit have service, some are still doing virtual. But I thought that once everything lifted, that I would be looking for a church home in Alabama. And I did not. And for some reason, I just kind of continued my Sunday mornings, tuning into service on Sundays, and participating in Bible study on Wednesday nights virtually. And I loved it. I enjoy it. I get a lot from it. And so I just did not pursue or even research. I think one time I did research, but I didn't really put into place to find a church in Alabama. So as I went on, now I'm at the point I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to be in Alabama. It's not my home. I know I need to figure out where I want to live. There was another state that was like top of my list. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start, start visiting that state a little more. So I started doing that in 2022. I started looking at cities that I was thinking about going to. And then I had an opportunity to visit Dallas Fort Worth, in Texas. And when I went there, that's when I was like, okay, God, what are you saying to me? And one of the ways he confirmed that Dallas Fort Worth area was going to be my new home is because I went to visit in February, and then I want to say in March, sometime in March on the service, the pastor was saying there are some people who know God has told you to move, and I'm just telling you, you need to move. And I was thinking, I think that may be for me. So that was one of the things that I did to gain of confirmations. one of the other things was I'm part of this women's group on Facebook, and somebody had a devotion about when God tells you to move, and I thought, oh my God, this is right on time. And that's how God spoke to me through that season was one allowing me to, him to speak to me directly, two, giving me visions, and then three, confirmations through other people or through things that a podcast or a sermon or a book I was reading. It was like God was continually to um, conform to me that this is where you need to transition. So that's my second question. So the first question again was, how did I know it's time to transition? The second question was, how does God speak to me? And my third question is, why did I choose Texas? And so it's interesting because again, when I knew that that Alabama was no longer where I need to be and it was time to move on, I also had in my mind a state, and I also had in my mind when I will move. And so it's interesting because I believe that God speaks to us and He will let us know, okay, it's time to transition. But we have to be very careful with, are we hearing from God or are we hearing from our own selves, right? And so for me, when I knew it was time to transition, I was like, oh, it's easy. I'm moving to Georgia. And then I was like, Georgia is 2 hours away. I'm moving to Georgia. And I am going to move in 2024. Like, because I've moved so much between 2020 and 2023, then, and 2020, 2022, I should say, that I'm not moving 2023. Because from 2020, to be honest, so funny, till 2020 came, I moved from one place to another place in the same state, and then I moved again, then I moved again. So I moved a lot, like every year, 2020, 2021, and now 2022, I moved again. And so when I knew that I was going to transition to another state, I, to be honest, was like, okay, God, that's great. I agree that Alabama's not my home, but yeah, I can't move in 2023. So I'm not moving next year. I'm going to move in 2024 and I'm going to move to Georgia. That was the two things that I gave to God. So 2022 comes, I'm praying about it, and I started to even look at cities in Georgia. I started to think about like how would that transition happen? And then one of my cousins in Dallas was like, "Hey, aren't you gonna come visit us? Got plus family there. You're gonna visit us." So I was like, "Yeah, I would do it. I'm gonna go in February." So February of 2023, I go to Dallas, and I get the opportunity to be around family, to see different cities, to experience Dallas, just like driving, on the highways, a simple thing. Sometimes you just have to do that in the city you're thinking about moving to, just to see if you can handle a lot of traffic, a lot of business, horrible drivers sometimes, or fast drivers. You have to understand if that is where you want to be. But the main thing for me was I had opportunity to go to the church that I had been an member of for at that point 3 years. It's 2023, and I had to have the opportunity to sit inside the building. And it between getting off the plane, I remember getting off the plane and one of my cousins picked me up from the airport. And I remember being in the car and thinking right away, like, wow, I like this place. And then I was there for 4 or 5 days, and every day being like, you know what, this may be an option for me. But I'm going to still keep both Texas and Georgia on my list. I'm not going to just choose. And as times went on, I came back home and started to really research, started to look at it. As time went on, I realized that more and more that Dallas Fort Worth area was my area. And things started to align. Like groups that I'm a part of, I started to meet people from those groups who live in that area, in Dallas Fort Worth area. Um, Certain things started happening with the church that caused me to get even more plugged in. And I realized, wow, when I move here, I'm going to have this community of family, which is really important, extended family, especially. To have family there, friends there. Some of my friends that I knew in Chicago and Illinois are now in that area. My church community is there. My Maxwell leadership community is there. Like it's amazing. So I will say for anyone, watching to really listen, pray about it, and then listen and let God lead you. Because if I would have been led by my own, like on my own advice, like, hey, I want to move to Georgia. That's where I'm moving. And God's leading me to another direction, but I'm not paying attention or not listening to him, I would really have missed out on where I am today. And now I am less than 3 weeks away. And so I am every week something's happening to confirm like yes, this is where you need to be. And I go through a lot more about that in future videos, but for this video I just wanted to focus on the first step when you're thinking about transitioning, which is pray. So it doesn't matter like who you pray to, who you believe in the universe, you believe in Allah, whoever you believe in, pray and lean in into that intuition that's in your heart that says, do this, move here, and do things. So I will definitely say, do that. And that is, yeah, that is what I want to share with that. The other thing I would say is, and thank you, Tahisha, I really appreciate it. The other thing I would say is, and this is what I will talk about on Thursday, and it's the second lesson is you have to plan. So once you've prayed, you've sought God, God has dropped that, He giving you direction, He's confirmed it through many different avenues and ways. Once He's done that, you need to start planning because I see this on YouTube all the time. People, and no knock to those people who do it, but people will say, God told me to move, and I drove to this new state with no money and everything in my car, and I did it in 10 days, and it sounds great. Like it sounds very, very wonderful. Like, oh my gosh, you're so courageous. You did it in 10 days. But I can't do that, to be honest. And a lot of you who are watching me, some of you are like, no, that I couldn't. That would be more anxiety if I was had to pack up my stuff and move in 10 days or 20 days or 30 days. So I would say plan. So on Thursday, I'm going to talk about the things that I use, the resources I use, the tools I use to plan. So the shortest time in each move that I've made, I think the shortest one has been my move from Illinois to Alabama in 2021. And even though at that point I could have really packed my things and moved in a week and been like, hey auntie, I'm coming down. But I didn't because I wanted to plan it out. And so it took me 2 months, 2 or 3 months, yeah, about 3 months to get everything arrange where I was at, and then going through my storage, like things like that. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself because I feel like I want to so bad, but I'm not going to. I really just want to just give you a little preview into what we're going to talk about on Thursday, which is planning. And I will share some resources. I will share how I do it. I will share the ways that I do it that will help you as you think about transitioning because if you don't plan, you're gonna fail. It's something gonna go wrong, and you're not gonna be prepared for it. So even like thinking about the risk you're taking, all of that's gonna be so important. So that is the lesson for today. If there's any questions, you can put them in the chat. And for those of you who are watching the replay, if you have questions later, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will see them and I will answer those when we meet again. So before we end our time, I did want to share that I am kicking off a new personal growth mastermind class. It's going to start October. 5 weeks, 5 week class every Tuesday evening. And there's the QR code on the screen. So if you would like to register, feel free to register. I also offer personal growth coaching and personal growth group coaching as well. So if you're interested in something like that, just reach out to me, send me a private message or DM, wherever you're seeing this at on YouTube, send me a message there, and I will give you all of the information. And so I appreciate you joining me today. I hope that this lesson was of value and also inspiring too, because if you're in that, I know how it feels to be in that state where you're not, it's something more for you and you're just not sure how to get there. So I hope this helps. I will see you on Thursday. So bye for now. But I want to tell you, keep going, keep growing, and keep moving forward.